What if I told you that you are already dying? Not from age, not from illness, but from something far more insidious, something you chose. You are dying from your own silence. Drive. Martin Luther King Jr. once wrote words that should haunt every one of us. He said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Read that again. Our lives begin to end, not when our hearts stop beating, not when we take our final breath, but the moment we close our mouths when we should have spoken, the moment we looked away when we should have stared injustice in the face. If you are over 60 years old, you have lived through some of the most transformative decades in human history. You witnessed the civil rights movement. You saw walls come down and nations reborn. You raised families and built careers. So let me ask you something deeply personal. In all those years, how many times did you stay silent when your heart was screaming to speak? How many moments passed when you knew something was wrong, but chose the comfort of quiet over the discomfort of truth? This audiobook is not a history lesson, it is a mirror. It is an invitation to examine your conscience and ask yourself one brutal question: am I still alive, or did I begin to die years ago without knowing it? Let us begin where King's words were born. Not in a church pulpit, but in a jail cell, a cold, cramped cell in Birmingham, Alabama. The year was 1963, and Martin Luther King Jr. sat on that hard floor, writing in the margins of a newspaper, because that was the only paper he had. He was arrested for leading nonviolent protests against segregation. But what prompted him to write was not the brutality of police. It was something far more painful. It was the silence of people who should have known better. 8 white clergymen had published a letter calling King's protests unwise and untimely. These were not hateful men. They were respected religious leaders, who considered themselves moderate and fair-minded. They agreed that segregation was wrong, but they believed King was pushing too hard, too fast. They urged patience. They counseled waiting. From that jail cell, King wrote one of the most powerful documents in American history. He confessed that his great stumbling block was not the Ku Klux Klan member. It was the white moderate, the person who preferred a negative peace, the absence of tension, to a positive peace, the presence of justice, the person who constantly said, "I agree with your goal, but not your methods." Do you understand what King was saying? The greatest obstacle to justice was not those who actively opposed it, it was those who quietly supported it but refused to speak or act. The ones who saw the fire but decided not to call the fire department. The ones who told themselves that silence was neutrality, when silence was complicity. There is no neutral ground in matters of conscience. When you choose not to speak against what is wrong, you are speaking for it. Your silence has a voice, and that voice says yes to injustice. This brings us to something deeply personal. This is about your soul. When you witness something wrong and say nothing, something inside you breaks. You may not feel it right away, but a small piece of your integrity splinters off. And if you do it again and again, year after year, one day, you wake up and realize you are not the person you wanted to be. Psychologists call this moral injury. It is the wound that occurs when you act against your deeply held moral beliefs, or when you fail to act in accordance with them. Every act of silence in the face of injustice is a small act of self-betrayal. Those small betrayals accumulate until they become the defining feature of who you are. Think about the moments when you stayed silent, not grand historical moments. Tuesday afternoon when your coworker made a cruel joke. Thanksgiving dinner when someone said something racist, and everyone just passed the gravy. The community meeting where a wrong policy was passed, but you stayed in your seat. What did those silences cost you? Each time you stayed quiet, did you feel a little smaller? This is the true cost of silence. It is not just that the world remains unchanged. It is that you remain unchanged. You remain frozen in a version of yourself that is smaller than you were meant to be. Silence kills something essential in the human spirit. It kills our sense of agency, our belief that we matter. But here is what makes King's insight profound: if silence can kill the spirit, speech can resurrect it. Every time you open your mouth to say what needs to be said, you become more fully yourself. You'd grow. This is what moral courage does. It changes you. Now I want to speak directly to those of you who are 60 or older. You have something that younger generations desperately need. You have perspective. You have lived through enough decades to understand that history repeats itself. That wisdom ignored is tragedy guaranteed. You have seen fads come and go. You have accumulated the ability to recognize patterns, to see through nonsense, to understand what truly matters. When you were young, society told you to be quiet and listen to your elders. Now you are the elders, and society is trying to tell you the same thing. Be quiet. Step aside. Your time has passed. But that is a lie. Your time has not passed. Your time may just be beginning. You have earned the authority to speak. You have paid your dues. You have accumulated credibility that only comes from living. You have knowledge that cannot be downloaded or searched. It exists only in the minds of people who have lived it. If you remain silent, that knowledge dies with you. The wisdom of your generation evaporates. The young people who needed it will have to learn the hard way what you could have taught them, if only you had spoken. I am asking you to consider that. Your later years are not a time for silence but for speech. Not for retreat but for advance. You have nothing left to lose and everything to give. You are not bound by fear of career consequences. You have the freedom that comes from having already lived most of your life. Use that freedom. What are the issues that keep you up at night? What are the injustices that make your blood boil? Those are the matters that matter. Those are the things about which your silence is deadly. Your legacy is not yet written. You are not finished. The final chapters can be the most important ones. They can be the chapters where you finally said what needed to be said, where you finally stood up for what you believed. Imagine yourself at the very end, looking back on your life. What do you want to see? A person who played it safe? Or a person who, when it mattered most, found the courage to speak? Martin Luther King died at 39. He did not get to grow old, but in his short years, he lived more fully than most people who lived twice as long. He lived because he refused to be silent. He spoke when speaking meant prison and death threats. You have been given more years than King ever received. What will you do with them? Will you spend your remaining days in comfortable silence, or will you add your voice to the chorus of conscience? Your silence is not neutral. Your silence is a statement, and if you choose it, your life has already begun to end. But you are still here. Your heart is still beating, which means it is not too late. Every day you wake up is another chance to speak the truth inside you. Every moment of silence you break is a resurrection of your soul. I am not asking you to become an activist. I am asking you to become yourself, your fullest, truest, most courageous self. The self that has been waiting inside you for decades. Waiting for permission to speak. Consider this your permission. The world needs your voice. Your family needs your wisdom. Your community needs your courage, and you need your own integrity. You need to look in the mirror and see someone who stood for something. Your life is not over. As long as you draw breath, you have the power to speak. And as long as you speak, you are alive in the truest sense. You are participating in the great conversation of humanity. This is your moment. This is your chance to decide what the final chapters of your story will say. Will they say you faded quietly, or will they say you rose up and lived every moment to the end? The day you become silent about things that matter is the day your life begins to end. But today, right now, you can choose a different path. You can choose to live. You can choose to speak. Go now and break your silence. The world is waiting for your words. Thank you for listening until the end. I'll be back with better content. Have a precious day.